Welcome to the Terrace Talk today, brothers and sisters. It's a steamy, hot afternoon in Cairns, and we're waiting for the monsoon rains to kill the heat, to get relief from this weather. And in this day and age, everyone wants to do things in a hurry. They don't want to wait. Oh, it's so hard, and it's such a thing to wait on anything. And I'd just like to look at what the Hebrew word waiting means. The understanding in the Hebrew tells us a mass of persons or things, especially a regiment, organized for war, an army, by implication, a campaign, literally, a campaign, a regiment, a group of people that are waiting together. And you can imagine before they're told to go to war, they're waiting. By implication, it's specifically hardship, worship, appointed time. So there is a time, and this is part of our worship. An army, a battle, a company, a host, service, soldiers waiting upon war and warfare. And this is the situation that we can be in. We are in, waiting for our deliverer to come. Let's look at what Yahusha says in the scripture about waiting. In Psalms 27:14, wait on Yahuwah, be strong and let him strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on Yahuwah. Now that's stressing the point that he's saying, wait, I say, on Yahuwah. Wait on Yahuwah. Why does Yahuwah want us to wait so much? In Isaiah 40:30-31, even youths grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly. Yet those who wait on Yahuwah renew their strength. They raise up with wings like eagles. They run and are not weary. They walk and do not faint. So that's something we need to attain. That's something we need to get, is that strength, renewing our strength daily. It's so hard to wait, but it's hard to constantly be ready and waiting, to renew our strength, not to be weary, not to give up, not to faint. In Psalm 37:7, rest in Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man doing wicked devices. We don't need to look at other people and see everything they have and what they're doing. And the whole world around us is moving in an incredible surge and prospering and moving on and collecting their goods and collecting them what they want out of life. In Galatians 5:5, for we, in spirit, by belief, eagerly wait for the expectation of righteousness. We're eagerly waiting for Yahusha, for that expectation, but it's in the spirit and it's by belief. So it's a spiritual walk and it's by belief. We can't see it. We have to believe first. In James 5:7, so brothers, be patient until the coming of the Master. See, the farmer waits for precious fruits on the earth, waiting patiently for it to receive the early and latter rain. You too be patient. So there's something that we need in our walk. We need to be patient, waiting patiently for it to receive the early and latter rain, to receive the refreshment from Yahusha. we're to wait patiently. But how can we do this when everyone is in such a hurry to get to know, to be, to get there? Lamentations 3 will help in this walk. It says in 25 to 29, Yahuwah is good to those waiting for him, to the being who seeks him. It is good both to wait and to be silent for the deliverance of Yahuwah. It is good for a man to bear a yoke in his youth. Let him sit alone and be silent, because he has laid it on him. Let him put his mouth in the dust. There might yet be expectancy. Let him put his mouth in the dust. Oh, when I read that, I just laughed and I thought, yes, Yahusha, that's what I've got to do. Throw myself down and just shut up and put my mouth in the dust. What a wonderful way to explain how to keep out of incredible conversations, incredible ideas that we get, incredible thoughts that we have that we think are so intelligent and expressive and will help and will do and will be something and will look good and will have, but put your mouth in the dust. It is good to wait, he says there, to be silent for the deliverance of Yahuwah. So Yahusha wants us to wait and be silent. It's good for a man to bear a yoke in his youth, so to have something that is holding you, to restrain you, to be in that place where you're restricted from doing and going out into the world and doing something that you'll regret. It's good to have that restriction, that yoke on you. Let him sit alone and be silent. Let's sit by ourselves and sit alone. You feel so alone sometimes and nobody understands, and you just want someone to accept and to see all the hard work you've done and what you achieved and in Yahusha and who you are and what you know, and yet Yahusha says, be silent. It's him, because he has laid it on him. Proverbs 20:26 also says, do not say, I repay evil. Wait for Yahuwah and he saves you. And who fights your battles? So you don't want to get people back. And that's a normal reaction in our being, in our self, in our life, to react, to respond with hate and evil and to have that. But wait for Yahuwah, because he'll save you. In 1 Thessalonians 1:10, and wait for his son, for the Shemayim, from the Shemayim, whom he raised from the dead, Yahusha, who is delivering us from the wrath to come. Wait for his son from the Shemayim, who he raised from the dead, Yahusha, who is delivering us from the wrath to come. Don't you want to be delivered from the wrath to come, brothers and sisters? This is what we're seeking. This is what we're working towards. This is what is a matter of life and death. And I didn't realize how important, how serious this is, when all we're doing is coming back and forth and doing the motions of reading your word and putting and applying it and putting it to practice and hearing your word and going through situations. But Yahusha wants us to know the whole reason we're doing all this is to deliver us from what's to come. And we don't take this serious enough. I know I haven't taken this serious enough, because if I had, I wouldn't be in the state I'm in. In my life, I've just wandered along and plodded along and thought, I'll be right because I know Yahusha. I know his name. I'll be right. I've been immersed in his name. I'll be okay. I'll just keep going and learning and growing at my pace and having my own way and causing disturbance and causing so much upset by being half-hearted in so many things. But Yahusha's saying, this is a serious matter. In Romans 8:19-23, for the intense longing of the creation eagerly waits for the revealing of the sons of Yahusha. That's us. We ourselves also groan within ourselves, eagerly waiting for the adoption, the redemption of our body. And we do feel this. We feel this pain. We feel this anxiety of wanting to get out, wanting to get free, and wanting to be over all this incredible journey that we're on. We groan within ourselves and we're waiting for that adoption. We're waiting for Yahusha to come. We're waiting for him to deliver us and to overcome all these things that are in our flesh. And if, verse 25, and if we expect what we do not see, we eagerly wait for it with endurance. So we've got to continually believe and expect Yahusha's word that he is coming. He is with us and he wants to deliver us. He will complete the work that he started, brothers and sisters, and we eagerly wait for it with endurance. So that means no complaining with our lot. Let's not be in that state where we find things to complain and be upset about. In Zephaniah 3:8-9, therefore wait for me, declares Yahuwah, until the day I rise up for plunder. For my decision is to gather nations, to assemble reigns, to pour out on them my rage, all my burning anger. For by the fire of my jealousy, all the earth shall be consumed. What about that? For then I shall turn to the peoples a clean lip, so that they all call on the name of Yahusha to serve him with one shoulder. We to be in one accord, we to have one mind and have a clean lip. And that's the deliverance, is to not say anything that's not from him. We're to wait on him. Brothers and sisters, in Romans 12:12 it says, rejoicing in the expectancy, the hope, and enduring. Enduring means to be patient, under pressure, continuing steadfast in prayer. So that's the attitude that we're to have while we're waiting, rejoicing. Wow, that's different. To rejoice in something that you have to wait for, that you get frustrated about, and you lose heart and you think, oh, nothing's happening, nothing's going on. Where can I see any movement? What's all this about? And that's what we have to do, is wait and rejoice in that. Have an attitude where we are full of understanding of what Yahusha's doing. And in this word we can see that Yahusha is bringing his people to a place, and he's wanting us to know him, to see what he's doing. Be patient under pressure, continuing steadfast in prayer. So the attitude while waiting, through these scriptures it tells us the attitude while waiting, we're to be still, be silent, put your head in the mud, and we're still to be content while doing this, happy to patiently wait for an outcome and no doubting. Don't doubt about what Yahushua's plan is in our heart, in our life. It could be days, could be months, could be years you're waiting on something. And yet, this is the expectancy, this is the hope, this is the enduring, this is the patience that Yahushua wants us to have. Because he's testing our trust and belief. He's testing us. Waiting is to expect with trust. Expect with hope and patience. Like an army, like a campaign, ready for battle. You can imagine a whole troop of soldiers lined up, ready for the word to say, strike, go. We're to be still. In waiting, we have to be still. Why? Stop. Stop what we're doing. Be still. And why does Yahushua want us to stop and be still and be silent? To shut up from all the ravings and rantings and conversations and ideas and things that we throw ourselves into. In the Acts, the apostles were commanded to wait for the promise of the Father when he sent his set-apart Spirit. They were happy and content in waiting. They were all gathered together and waiting. They shut down, they stopped. They didn't travel anywhere or go away. And the whole reason to do this is so that we can hear Yahushua's voice. We can't hear his voice when we're rushing around and we're full of that busyness of life. Even though we have to work and run business and go to and run our lives and go through this day and age in our lives, living with the daily worries of the world and the daily worries of family and situations, we still have to be silent and wait in everywhere we are, because otherwise we can't hear Yahushua's voice. In part of the Hebrew word, it talked about hardship. In our words, our conversation, we're adding ourselves so much into the context of a conversation. We have advice, we have knowledge, we have concern, we want to impress, we have experience, we have so much to say. But the scripture says we're not wise in our own eyes. The pride of life is there to be someone. Waiting to be able to hear what Yahushua is saying, listening to his words come out of ourselves. We have to come out. Our thinking, our diction, our attitude, our tone of voice. And the reason for waiting is to increase our trust, to loose our control. And it's all in his time. We can't change that. We can't impress on Yahushua to hurry up. We can't manipulate Yahushua. We try to bargain with Yahushua and tell him what we want and how we want it and what we think. And in this way our mind is full of ourselves. Waiting opens up a whole different world. To wait on Yahushua and actually hear and know and then say what he wants us to say. This is an amazing experience, brothers and sisters. This is where Yahushua wants us to go. He wants us to be involved in his reign. He wants us to be involved in his way, not our way. He wants us to give up the control that we think we have on our lives. Waiting for Him, He will show you so many amazing things about yourself, about those around you. He will show you and open your eyes. He will open your eyes and give you sight to see and what needs to be said, what has to be done, and how He wants you to be. He will show you about your attitude while you're waiting. Many times I've thought I could wait people out and I can wait, but inside myself there was a whole barrage full of complaints and judgments and throwing myself to a place where I thought I couldn't handle this any longer, and then my attitude while waiting was pretty ridiculous, was pretty bad, was disgusting, because there was hatred and jealousy and all sorts of drama and wanting to put myself up into a place. There's so much, Yahusha, I know that in my life, what He wanted for me, when I first came to Yahusha, He said, look, just trust in me and I will draw you through. I will be with you. I'll never leave you. And I haven't believed that. I've gone my way and I've done my own thing, and I've caused so much trouble and heartache for people around me. And Yahusha's just loved me, and so patiently and so willingly and understanding and proving Himself so much over. It's embarrassing how much proving I needed to see what Yahusha wants for me and who He is. And yet, as a person on this earth that He created, I belong to Him. And yet I'm acting out like I own myself. I'm acting like, I'm living like I can do what I want to do. I can pretend and sneak around and think that nobody knows, and yet Yahusha is there, loving. He's there wanting to see, am I going to grasp this? Am I going to choose Him? So the attitude of waiting, to be still and content, we have to actually be happy to wait patiently for an outcome with no doubting. He is actually working on us. He is working on us by waiting. Yahusha's working on us and wants us, because He reveals Himself. He's all-knowing, always present, all-powerful, always was, with no beginning or ending, His self to us. And who are we? We're a frail, vulnerable, ignorant, self-absorbed being with no chance of deliverance without Him. And look at that. Look at who we think we are, brothers and sisters. In waiting, we're actively seeking Yahusha's direction for us. How about that? How about knowing there's someone who's got everything that you need, all the things that you need and you want, and you all the things that you could ever imagine for you. He is there with direction for us, and yet we want to have our way. We have our plans, we have our ideas and our thoughts on what the Scripture says and what we think He's saying to us. But we can't hear His voice unless we stop and be still and wait patiently with an attitude happy to wait and endure and be expecting some wonderful outcome. With that hope, we can live with that hope and know and be so excited and so happy, because waiting opens up a whole new experience, brothers and sisters, in a place where that you never thought you could be, giving our trust and whole control of our life to Yahusha, our Creator, our Father, who shows compassion according to the greatness of his kindness. Someone that you've always wanted to love you, to show you gratefulness and gratitude and compassion, and also is so willing. He died for us. His blood sets us free. Remember the basics of your deliverance, of how Yahusha is and who he is, and you will only find more and more and get to know him by waiting and listening. So waiting opens up that whole experience, and if we give our whole control of our lives, give over everything, he knows best. He knows more. He is ever present. He's with us all the time. Are you willing to do this? That means we have nothing of ourself. And that's where we're to go. I think this is an amazing understanding, brothers and sisters, we can attain if we wait eagerly, expecting, enduring, be patient, under pressure, and just speak to Yahusha and talk to him, and he will love you like you've never been loved before. Thank you. I hope this blesses you all. Bye-bye.